Okay, so you guys know how the royal family is like always in the news, right? Weddings, babies, scandals, the whole shebang. Well, this story is a little different. It's not about some new juicy gossip, but about something that happened years after Princess Diana's death. And it involves Princess End, who, let's be honest, is kind of the unsung hero of the royals. So, picture this. Kensington Palace undergoing some renovations. Just your regular run-of-the-mill palace maintenance. You know, replacing wires, patching up walls. Nothing too exciting. But then, bam, the workers stumble upon a hidden room. Like a totally secret room, sealed off and forgotten for decades. Apparently, it was part of some old storage area that nobody even remembered existed. Inside, it was like stepping back in time. Dust everywhere. Old dresses hanging on racks, shoes neatly lined up. It was clearly Diana's space, almost like she just stepped out for a minute. But the crazy thing is, it wasn't just a closet. There were boxes of handwritten notes carefully stacked, not thrown away or packed up. It felt deliberate, like Diana had intentionally preserved this room. Now, obviously, when they found this, the palace went into lockdown mode. No press conferences, no announcements, just quiet behind-the-scenes discussions. And the one name that kept coming up, Princess Anne. Why Anne? Well, she's known for being, shall we say, not dramatic. She's disciplined, duty-driven, and doesn't chase the spotlight. If anyone could handle this situation with a level head, it was her. Plus, she's got a reputation for being incredibly discreet. Basically, she's the royal family's fixer SO and goes in expecting to just inventory the stuff and get it sorted. But the moment she steps into the room, she feels something's off. It's too organized, too deliberate. Diana hadn't just abandoned this space. She'd curated it. And that's when things get interesting. And had always had a complicated relationship with Diane. Diana was emotional, open, a bit of a wild card, and was all about control and order. She'd always thought Diana's power came from her charm, not her strategy. But standing in that room, she started to wonder if she'd been completely wrong about her sister-in-law. She starts going through the items. Dresses from charity events, letters from world leaders. Personal note. Nothing seems too out of the ordinary until she spots this box tucked away on a shelf hidden behind a silk scar. This wasn't just tossed aside. It was deliberately placed like it was waiting to be discovered. It was a jewelry box made of dark rosewood with mother-of-pearl details. Elegant, but not flashy. Anne picks it up, and it's surprisingly heavy. She's examining it, admiring the craftsmanship, when she notices something etched on the inside of the lid. It's so faint you could easily miss it if you weren't looking for it. And it's a message written in Diana's own handwriting for those who dare seek truth. And then her initials, DS, not Princess of Wales, just Diana Spencer. That's when Anne knew this wasn't just some sentimental keepsake. It was a puzzle, a message, maybe even a warning. Whatever was inside was meant for someone brave enough to look past the surface. Someone who maybe too late wished she'd asked more questions when she had the chance. And that's where we'll pick up next time. Okay, so Princess Anne takes this box back to her private room, not telling anyone, not even her closest staff. She just feels like this is something she has to deal with on her own. You know, she puts it under a reading lamp, stares at it for ages, and she's not usually one for like dramatic feelings, but she gets this really strong sense that the box is watching her. Spooky, right? Anyway, she finally opens it, and the jewelry inside is insane. Red rubies, sparkly blue jewels, emeralds, and diamonds that look like they're glowing. Seriously, high-end stuff. But then she notices something weird. Each piece has these tiny markings carved into the back. Symbols, dates, initials, and none of them match anything in the royal record. So, she grabs a magnifying glass and gets a closer look. Some of them look like map directions. Others look like case numbers or maybe dates. One pin has a number that looks like an international bank code. Like, what is going on here? These aren't just sentimental gifts. They're clues. Breadcrumbs leading somewhere. Then, she starts messing with the box itself, running her fingers over it, trying to figure out how it's made. And by pure chance, or maybe it was fate, her thumb presses on this tiny raised part near the bottom. Click. A panel slides open. Inside, another secret compartment. This one's packed with stuff. Handwritten letters tied with a blue ribbon smelling faintly of lavender. Underneath the letters, a bunch of shiny photographs. And these photos are wild. Diana is dressed up like in disguise, meeting with people and doesn't recognize. Cafes, underground parking garage, private home. Nothing like the public life Diana was known for. And then the kicker, a small silver key with a tag that says Zurich Deposit Box 837L. Zurich like Switzerland. What the heck is going on? And grabs the letters. The first one has her name on it too, and please read if I'm gone, and the date 3 days before Diana died. Can you imagine? She opens the letter, and the first line is chilling. And iMusic, if you are reading this, then they succeeded in making me quiet. Not dramatic, just matter-of-fact, like she knew what was coming. As music, and reads through the letters, she starts to freak out. Diana writes about a charity gala in 1995, one that, and herself attended. A respected organization trusted donors. But Diana noticed discrepancies in the funding reports. Money meant for hospitals and landmine victims just vanished. And when she asked questions, she got brushed off, avoided, even threatened. The deeper she dug, the worse it got. And finds a list of numbers, bank transfers, secret accounts with no names attached, money meant for landmine victims, IDs hospitals, women's shelters, all going into personal bank accounts, some belonging to powerful business owners, others connected to people inside the royal palace. Seriously messed up. Diana writes about meeting reporters late at night, one from France, one from Switzerland. They were already finding signs of a bigger secret plan. She mentions code name, secret drop-off place being watched. She even started recording her conversations, hiding the tapes in secret locations. People who knew the truth were terrified for their lives. And is just sitting there, tears streaming down her face. Music, but the letters aren't just about evidence. Diana also writes about her sons. Am not afraid. She writes, music, but will not let them grow up believing the world is kinder than it is. At the bottom of the last page, underline, if something happens to me, everything else is secured. And that's when Anne's eyes go back to the silver key. Zurich Deposit Box 837L. This is getting seriously intense. 2 weeks later, Princess and is on a plane to Switzerland. I mean, can you even imagine the stress? She doesn't tell anyone where she's going, just sneaks off to Zurich. She gets to this bank super old school, like straight out of a spy movie. The clerk barely blinks when she gives her name, just nods and leads her through like a million security checkpoints. Finally, they put this box in front of her in a private room. Inside are documents, financial records, copies of transfers, photos of meetings Diana was never supposed to be at. And then these audio tapes, all labeled with dates. But one file, it just says, if disappear. And pops it in, and it's Diana sitting alone. No makeup, no royal performance. She's just real. She says, if you're watching this, then I was right to be afraid. She talks about powerful people. Not like cartoon villains, but respectable men who use charity as a cover and influence as a weapon. Money mowing across borders. Good causes being used as mass. She talks about being followed and trusting the wrong people. It's intense. When the video ends and is just frozen. Then the bank clerk quietly speaks up from the doorway. He says, you're not the first to ask about this box. Anne's like, what? He goes, someone else came 2 weeks ago. They claim to be family. Oh my God. And is flying back to London, totally sleepless. She's just replaying Diana's voice in her head. It wasn't the words, but the calm. That's what freaked her out the most. Diana wasn't scared. She was resigned. Like she knew what the cost of knowing too much was, by the time the plane lands, and has made a decision. She's not telling the palace. Not yet. And she's not destroying the evidence, even though every instinct is telling her that silence is safer. But safety didn't save Diana, did it? That same night, the evidence is moved. Not to Buckingham Palace, not to Windsor, not to any royal property that could be easily accessed. And uses this small private residence she keeps for getaways. No staff, no routine traffic. The documents are locked away, digital copies stored separately, and the jewelry box is put back in its case, and tells herself she's being cautious. But really, she's terrified, and she has every right to be, because 3 days later, the first sign that she's not alone comes. Her personal phone, the one she only uses for family, starts making this faint clicking sound during calls. Not constant, not obvious, but enough to notice if you're listening carefully. And has spent her life listening carefully. Then come the delay. Letters that should arrive in a day take a week. Some arrive opened and resealed. Others never arrive at all. Her driver mentions a car following them when he keeping its distance. Each detail on its own is nothing, but together they form a pattern. A pattern Diana would have recognized instantly. And contacts this guy she hasn't spoken to in years. Someone who retired from British intelligence. He doesn't want anything to do with headlines or heroic. He agrees to come, but only on one condition. No names, no written records. He confirms what and suspected. Her phone is tapped. Her study has listening devices disguised as power adapters. A tracker was placed under her car, removed just before it failed. Someone knows she has Diana's evidence, and they want to know what she's going to do with it. Anne's mind is racing. Who could it be? Someone in the palace? Someone outside? The guy from intelligence tells her to be careful. They are watching, and they won't hesitate. And nods, though she knows she's already past careful. She's in too deep now. The guy hands her a burner phone. Use this for anything important. And for God's sake, don't go anywhere alone. Anne takes a deep breath and starts making plans. She'll need to move the evidence again, make sure it's safe. And she'll need to figure out who else is involved. The palace can't know. Not yet. Maybe not ever. She thinks about her sons, about her family. What would happen if this came out? She knows the risks, but she also knows she can't just ignore this. Diana's voice is in her head. If something happens to me, Anne's jaw sets. She'll make sure something does happen. To the truth. The next few days are a blur. Meetings in secret, moving documents, making copies. Anne's exhausted but driven. She's always been the strong one, the reliable one. Now she's the one with a secret. A big one. And she's determined to see it through. But the closer she gets to the truth, the more she's watched. The more she's followed. The more she's afraid. She's playing a dangerous game, and she knows it. One night, she gets a message on the burner phone. A single sentence. We know what you're doing. Anne's heart sinks. They know. Whoever they are, they know. She deletes. The message destroys the phone and goes into hiding. She's done being careful. It's time to take action. But how? And against whom? The game has just gotten serious. Anne's mind is racing. She needs a safe place, somewhere they won't think to look. She remembers a small cottage her husband gave her, deep in the countryside. No one knows about it. She packs a bag, grabs the evidence, and drives there under the cover of night. The cottage is cold and dark, but it's safe. She locks the doors, sets up traps, old pots and pans in case someone tries to break in. She's not going to be caught off guard. The next morning, she starts going through the documents again, looking for anything she might have missed. Names, dates, connections. She's determined to expose the truth. But as she reads, she realizes the depth of it. This goes higher than she thought. Higher than the palace, maybe. Higher than the government. She's dealing with people who've covered their tracks for years. Suddenly, she hears a noise outside. A twig snaps. Anne's heart freezes. She looks out the window, but sees nothing. She waits, breath held, but there's nothing. Maybe it was just an animal. She tries to focus, but the fear lingers. She's not safe here. She needs to keep moving. She starts packing up the documents, planning her next move. As she's about to leave, she gets another message on a new burner phone. Meet us at the old windmill at midnight. Come alone. Anne's gut tells her it's a trap. But what choice does she have? She needs to know who she's dealing with. She agrees to meet, but she's not going alone. She contacts the intelligence guy again, tells him about the meet. He's not happy, but he agrees to help. They plan to set up surveillance, get the evidence they need. Midnight approaches. Anne's at the windmill, heart pounding. The intelligence guy and his team are hidden, watching. And then they arrive. Figures in the dark. Anne can't see their faces, but she hears their voices. They're talking about containment, about silencing her. The evidence is there, on tape. The team moves in, recording everything. Anne's safe, protected. But when it's over, she's left with more questions than answers.
Who were they?
Who's pulling the strings? And what will happen next? The evidence is secure, but the danger isn't over. Anne knows she'll always be looking over her shoulder. The truth is out, but the fight isn't. The story ends here, with Anne knowing she'll never be able to go back to her old life. The royal family will protect itself, but she's done being part of it. She's done being silent. The evidence is stored away, and she's gone into hiding, waiting for the next move. The game is on, and she's ready.